Imagine someone tells you a joke. It's simple, harmless, a play on words. You laugh politely. But the person next to you? Their expression shifts. Not laughter, but discomfort. Maybe even rage. You both heard the same words, but you didn't hear the same message. Why? What makes one person laugh and another recoil? Why did American Eagle's great genes trigger outrage in some and indifference in others? In this episode, we dive into the psychology behind the backlash, the hidden forces that shape how we perceive meaning, threat, and identity in even the most seemingly innocent content. Because in the age of mass communication, the message isn't what's said, it's what your mind hears. Let's start with something called semantic priming. When Sydney Sweeney says, "People say I have great genes," your brain doesn't just hear it, it activates associations. Words like genes, beauty, blonde, blue-eyed, they light up memory pathways, especially when paired with a visual. You're not just hearing a pun, you're unconsciously linking it to cultural patterns, ideas, histories, trauma. Good genes doesn't sound neutral to everyone. In fact, in Western culture, it's often been a dog whistle, used historically to support eugenics, selective breeding, and white superiority myths. So even if your conscious mind shrugs, your subconscious may scream. That's priming, that's perception, and it's happening all the time without your permission. Here's the part most people miss. We don't just watch ads. We filter them through who we are. Are you progressive or conservative? Male or female? Marginalized or privileged? Have you been objectified? Mocked? Left out? All of these shape how you interpret meaning. In psychology, this is called identity-congruent processing. We're more likely to notice, believe, and react to content that aligns, or conflicts, with our social identity. So when the Great Genes ad aired, some viewers saw a fashion joke. Others saw a reminder of centuries of exclusion. Same ad, two minds, two realities. And the more emotionally charged the content, the deeper the divide. Another layer here is how Sydney Sweeney is shown. Not just what she says, but how she's framed, lensed, the soft lighting, the relaxed pose, the subtle focus on her hips and lips. This is the classic male gaze, a term coined by feminist film theorist Laura Mulvey. It describes how women are often visually positioned to be looked at rather than be. Even if the ad was meant to be empowering, it walks a fine line between self-expression and objectification. And for viewers sensitive to that dynamic, especially women who've lived inside it, it hits differently. They're not seeing empowerment, they're seeing commodification. Again, same ad, different filters, different feelings. Now let's add social media to the mix. Ever notice how you didn't feel strongly about something until you saw 100 people yelling about it? That's not weakness. That's emotional contagion. Humans are wired to mirror others' emotions, especially in tight, fast-moving social groups. Like Twitter, TikTok, Reddit. One viral post reframes the ad as dangerous. Others join in. Dissenters push back. Outrage escalates into war. Before long, you're not responding to the ad. You're responding to the reaction to the ad. You've been pulled into a digital tribal storm where what matters is not truth, but allegiance. The question becomes, whose side are you on? There's another layer, one deeper than culture, one hidden in the brain. Emotional memory. If you've experienced exclusion, racism, body shaming, or gendered judgment, then even a subtle symbol, like great genes, can act like a psychological tripwire. The conscious mind says, it's just a pun. But the body remembers. The nervous system tightens, fight or flight activates, cortisol surges. You're not just reacting to this ad. You're reacting to every other moment like it that you couldn't respond to in the past. This is what psychologists call re-triggering. And it's very real, even if it's invisible. So to dismiss backlash as overreaction is to ignore the complex psychological map behind every perception. And here we arrive at the central psychological paradox. Intent doesn't equal impact. You might intend to compliment someone, but if your words recall past pain, they may still feel hurt. Brands often defend themselves with intent. We didn't mean it that way. But the human brain doesn't care what you meant. It cares what it perceived. And perception isn't rational. It's emotional, historical, cultural, psychological. Understanding that is step one in fixing the messaging crisis we're now living in. So why did this ad trigger so much? Because it touched invisible wires. Wires made of memory, identity, fear, and longing. We live in an age where every image speaks 1,000 histories. And unless we understand the psychology of perception, we'll keep talking past each other, mistaking pun for prejudice, intention for ideology. In the next episode, we go one layer deeper. If controversy creates profit, did American Eagle plan this? We unpack the marketing chessboard, how outrage is weaponized, how campaigns are engineered to go viral, and how brands are learning to monetize division. Don't miss it. If this shifted your perspective, drop a comment below. Has a piece of media ever triggered you in a way you couldn't explain? Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in episode 3.